Hi friends, my name is Rajiv Gupta and I'm a lawyer by profession. Today I'm making this video as I'm observing that people are not aware of certain amendments which are made to section 375 concerning rape. They're not even aware that due to certain acts they can be charged with this offense. So I think it's better I explain everything in detail. So today's video pertains to this offence of rape, which is defined under section 375 of Indian Penal Code, and the punishment is given under section 376. But what rape is, that is particularly defined under section 375. I'm going to read it point by point and explain it to you. So section 375 of Indian Penal Code says that a man is said to commit rape if he penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra, or anus of a woman, or makes her to do with him or any other person, or inserts to any extent any object or a part of the body not being the penis into the vagina, the urethra, or anus of a woman, or makes her to do so with him or any other person. Now, we need to understand this point A and B, which says that before I explain it to you, the general perception is that offense of rape is committed when the penis penetrates vagina. But here, these amendments, they talk about any object. So, to speak it clearly, even if any body part, as I'm going to discuss section 375, so I'm not going to mince my words and I'm going to speak clearly so that everyone who's watching this video understands it. Even when any body part, say even a finger, when it is inserted into the vagina without the consent of the girl, even that would be considered rape. Or any object. I think we all remember Nirbhaya incident, and we also remember that an iron rod was inserted into her private parts. So now after these amendments, even such an act, that would also amount to rape. So any object, even if any object or any part of the body is inserted into the vagina of a woman, that would also be considered rape. So when I talk to people in general, or when I speak to people who are entangled in these cases, I'm not going to comment about the veracity of the FIR or the whether the case is genuine or it's a false prosecution or somebody is entangled into this litigation because of anything whatsoever. The thing is that people are actually not aware that this can also amount to rape. So again, I'm going to read this out so that you are able to relate to my explanation. Penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra, or anus of a woman, or makes her to do with him or any other person, or, this is very important, inserts to any extent any object or a part of the body, any object, anything which is not a part of the body and part of the body, not being the penis into the vagina, the urethra, or anus of a woman, to make her to do with him or any other person. So it's now very much clear, which people must understand, that any part of the body would also, inserting any part of the body would also amount to rape. So that general perception that it has to be your male organ which has to be inserted, or there has to be semen stains, or there has to be some biological evidence, everything is now wiped out. That is all. That is very much there, but along with that, this is also inserted. So you need to understand that even if there are no semen stains, even if there's no penetration by your male organ, even then that this would amount to rape, even if any body part or any other object is inserted into the vagina without her consent. So I think this particular part of 375 is very much clear to all the people who are watching this video, and even to the students who are preparing for their CLAT or their judiciary or whatever. So now part C. Part C says we need to read it with this. A man is said to commit rape if he manipulates any part of his body, manipulates any part of the body of a woman. If he manipulates any part of the body of a woman so as to cause penetration into the vagina, urethra, anus, or any part of body of such woman, or makes her do so with him or any other person. So I think this is general English. I need not explain it to you. If he manipulates any part of the body of a woman so as to cause penetration, right? So now section, this particular point, which is section 375 and D, applies. Now it says that applies his mouth to the vagina, anus, urethra of a woman, or makes her to do so with him or any other person. So even oral sex is considered rape. This particular version of rape was not there, so this has been inserted through amendments. So it's very much necessary to understand it. Even oral sex is considered rape if it is done without the consent of the woman. So now, what are the parameters of consent? So let us come to that. Under the circumstances following, and under any of the following 7 descriptions. So there are 7 descriptions given to the consent. That when all or any of these sexual acts committed on a woman are considered rape. So the very first is against her will, which can very well be presumed if it is done against her will. Second aspect is without her consent. One is against her will. She's not willing to do it, but you are doing it. Right? And second is without her consent. She's not consented to it and you are still doing it. She's not saying yes, but you're still doing it. Thirdly, with her consent, she's given her consent. Right? She has given her consent, but when her consent has been obtained by putting her or any person in whom she is interested in fear of death or a hurt. So this is also very much can easily be understood, that in case you force her, you criminally intimidate her, that you will die in case you do not give me consent for sex. So or any of the sexual acts which are mentioned above, or any other person who's interested in she's interested in. It could be any relation of her, right? So this would also amount to, like, look at this now, without her consent. So this cannot be a plea of an accused that, see, she has given her consent, but now if the consent is given per force, right, so that will also not be considered as consent, even if the act was consensual. Fourthly, with her consent, when the man knows that he is not her husband and that her consent is given because she believes that he is another man to whom she is or believes herself to be lawfully married. Here, to explain this, I would go back to our mythological history of Gautam Rishi, that how Indra, changed his appearance and became and entered the house of the Rishi, and what all happened is we are very well aware of that, the consequences. So this is the same thing, where a person impersonates to be the lawfully married husband of the woman, and woman believes that yes, he is, but actually he is not. So this is, and she gives her consent, but even this sexual act would be considered as rape. So the number 5 is done. Number 5 is with her consent. When at the time of giving such consent by reason of unsoundness of mind or intoxication or the administration by him personally or through another of any stupefying or unwholesome substance, she is unable to understand the nature and consequence of that to which she gives consent. So this particular explanation number 5 that talks about unsoundness of mind. Unsoundness of mind could be temporary or it could be permanent, and intoxication. So if the girl is intoxicated, she is not able to give her consent, and even if the sexual act which appears to be consensual, that will not be considered as a sexual act which is consented, and the person can be punished for offence of rape. Number 6 is with or without her consent in case she is under 18 years of age. So I need not explain it to you. If she is under 18 years of age, even if she gives her consent, elopes with you, and if there is a sexual act, one can be held guilty of offence of rape. Number 7 is when she is unable to communicate her consent. Now, the consent has to be express or implied. Either she has to say yes, or due to her own acts that where she is not resisting and she's letting it go, and at the same time she's a part of it. Now, in case she's not able to express her consent, in case she's not able to give her consent, there could be certain circumstances where she's unable to give her consent. In case she's gagged, she's not able to speak, or she's tied up somewhere, and a person commits this offence, and he cannot say that this act was was with consent, or she gave me the consent and she didn't say no. She's not able to say yes. In case she is gagged, how would she say that yes, I'm ready for it? So this is where we need to understand that the consent has to be either express or implied, but there are certain conditions attached to it. So we need to understand that this particular term consent is also explained here. Consent means an unequivocal voluntary agreement when the woman by words, gesture or any form of verbal or non-verbal communication communicates willingness to participate in the specific sexual act. So there has to be an express or implied or written or oral, anything where her consent is free, where she communicates it. If she is willing, if she is readily participating it, then later on she cannot say that yes, my consent was not there. Now another thing here which is worth noting is a woman who does not physically resist to the act of penetration shall not, by reason only of that fact, be regarded as consenting to the sexual activity. Now we cannot say that as the woman did not resist the sexual act. Now that resistance may not be there. It could be due to her physical weakness, it could be due to intoxication, it could be due to fear, right? So it could be due to caution. So there are so many factors where she may not physically resist. Accused cannot say that as she did not physically resist, so this is a consensual act and I cannot be held guilty for rape. This particular aspect is, or the explanation is given to explain such circumstances only, that there could be circumstances where the act seems to be consensual, but in fact it is not. As a matter of fact, it is rape, but it might seem as if it's a consensual act. So there could be a video recording where the accused can say that she's not resisting, and there's no there's no no. I mean, she's not saying no to it. She's very much there, and she's the one who wanted to do this particular sexual act, and now she's charging me with this offence of rape. So there's another explanation to it. A medical procedure or intervention shall not constitute rape. Now we can see that for certain diseases, as well as for other medical procedures, there may be instances where some penetration has to be there to actually determine the cause of infection or a disease. So those medical procedures, not tomorrow, a patient cannot go to the police station and say that, see, as far as this insertion of an object, that particular doctor or that particular medical practitioner has committed rape, if it is for that particular disease. So there has to be a sound reason behind it. Sexual intercourse or sexual act by a man with his own wife, the wife not being under 15 years of age, is not rape. So again, this is very much clear that any sexual act with the wife who is not under 15 years of age is not offence of rape. Whereas the legislature is now thinking that they need to enact the law where these matrimonial rapes are also included in this definition of rape. But this is this doesn't seem to be a logical explanation even by the legislature, that if in case they start doing it, then I think this will amount to multiplicity of litigation, and in every other home such a litigation will arise. So now the purpose behind this particular video is that we need to particularly understand what law is. As ignorance of law is not an excuse, tomorrow if such a thing happens, like certain youngsters, they get into all these things, and this could be life threatening. Their life can be in danger, because once you are caught into this particular legal hurdle, then you hardly can get out. Thanks.